haven't been playing as well as Catalans have been playing. Catalans have been inconsistent, whereas Wigan have been consistently off their best in first halves and consistently finding ways to win in second halves. But we didn't make enough, maybe, when we talked about the Catalan Saints game, about how seamlessly Artur Morg and Mathieu Laguerre just came into that side, played well, didn't disrupt the flow of that side, which I think is... Obviously, there was elements of differences in the way they played, but to if they had Lange and Tompkins playing, but that shows that they've got more depth than we thought they had. Catalans, they're a better squad than we thought they were, and you know, like I say, they're at home. They've got their own fans there. They're gonna create an atmosphere, and so everything's telling me Catalans should win. The only thing that's telling me Wigan will win is that I'm a Wigan fan.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go Wigan by 7 because there's certainly no reason why this Wigan team can't win this game. You know, they've been good enough to beat everyone else that's been put in front of them this year so far. So Wigan by 7.
Okay.
Sunday, 2 games at 3 o'clock. The first of which we'll talk about is Wakefield versus Huddersfield. So the second in a run of maybe winnable home games for Wakefield. Luke Gates will be a big miss for Huddersfield in this, but really they've probably got too much for Wakefield, I would suspect, if they continue to stick to the process that they have been doing. And they're starting to score some really nice tries. This time from last week, you're seeing it on both sides of the field, not just down that left that was looking good a few weeks ago. So I think Huddersfield by 14.
That's exactly what I was going to go for.
There you go then. Back on the same page after that mild disruption, Sarah. The other game is Hull Kingston Rovers versus Lee. So Hull Rovers coming off the back of a disappointing result and Lee coming off the back of a string of disappointing results. What way do you see this one going?
I'm really torn. Lee have a really good record against Rovers over the last number of years. But I think Rovers have been consistently a better team than Lee this year. What should we go for? Let's go for Lee, just because.
Excellent stuff. I'm going Rovers by 20. I think whilst there's something erratic about their game plan, they're consistently erratic in that they know what they're supposed to be doing. It might never look like anyone is really playing to a structure or a plan, but they train to do that at Rovers, whereas I'm really still not sure that Lee have any idea what they're supposed to be doing or who's supposed to be doing what in reality. And then there's the aspect that they continually drop off at the end of every game that they play. So I think it'll, be a good first half, and then Rovers will run away with it in the last 20 minutes to pad out the score after being ahead for most of the game anyway. That's the way I see it going, because that's how Lee games have gone. But I think it'd be interesting if your prediction came right. I think it'd be more interesting for the table and the makeup of the competition as we go forward, for sure.
Yeah.
Championship game of the week, even before the return to Odsal in the narrower pitch was announced. Bradford versus York, because it's third versus fourth, basically.
It's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yep. It's a big test for Bradford, who've been in fantastic form, because York are a side that have, even with the injury problems York have had, they've really gone out and been aggressive in the loan market to get in quality players that at least have high skill level, even if they're not going to be coherent necessarily with the team from the limited amount of game time they get with them. But they're finding ways to get a good side on the field, York, and Bradford have. It's going to be a tough game for both sides.
Yeah, no, it'd be one that would be good to watch.
Any view either way on which way you think this might?
I'll always tip York.
Yep. I think York will win as well, but I think Danny Brough might have something to say about that. League One game of the week: Keighley versus Hunslet, Sunday at 3 p.m. I mean, these are probably the two most steeped names in that division, aren't they? And you think one of the two of them must have a good chance of being in the reckoning at the end of the year. But I kind of feel like if they lose this one, whoever loses this one will be really playing catch up to the teams at the top.
Yeah.
You know, Keighley getting that exciting looking by the scoreline, but disappointing for them loss at home to Rochdale, and Hunslet getting beaten by top of the table Barrow. I think it's not quite must win, but I think it's hugely important for both sides. So that's why this one's been picked out as the game of the week. Women's Super League game of the week. I don't think we need to necessarily explain this one too much, Sarah. But York are playing Cass again, so Cass are playing Cass again Sunday 3:30.
Yeah, I guess it depends if Cass can muster enough to come back at them. A bit of retribution.
I suspect they won't be taking the 2 until it's to extend the lead from a 1-score to a 2-score lead in this one, Cass, if they learn from their failures last week. NRL Brit picks: Broncos versus Storm Thursday at 10:50, Panthers versus Bulldogs Saturday at 6 a.m, Rabbitohs versus Eels Saturday at 8:30, Roosters versus Raiders at 10:35 on Saturday. So a Saturday Brit pick feast there. Even though all the sides might lose that have got British players in them, and then the Knights, you never know, Dom Young might come back for them sometime, versus the Sea Eagles Sunday 7:05 a.m. Please make sure you get in your fan views on all of those games and any other rugby league action you watch this weekend, so we can talk about it on next week's show.
In earlier than Dr. Hideous.
Yes. It's time to move on to the wrap up, Sarah. I've prepared a quiz for you, which I did put together after I knew you were coming onto the show. So one of the questions is aimed specifically at hoping you get it right to get you off to a good start. But we'll move into that next. Okay, Sarah, SLP quiz time. I'm not going to explain the theme because I think it will become apparent, but I don't want to give too much away for the first question. Okay. So the first question is, what trophy winning accolade do Craig Hall, Adi Adebisi and Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook share in common?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Yeah. What trophy-winning accolade do Craig Hall, Adi Adebisi, and Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook share in common? Basically, what trophy did they win together?
Was it the Challenge Cup plate?
No, they were all part of Hull FC's 2005 Senior Academy title winning side.
Oh, were they?
Yes, yeah. I don't know if you remember, but at that point Hull seemed to have a deal with London where they took some London players up and put them into their sort of academy reserved whatever it was at the time structure. So you had 3 or 4 London juniors playing in the side that day. You beat Wigan, winning 36-34 in what was not quite as exciting as that scoreline wakes out, because Wigan scored a couple of late tries to make it close, I think, but ran out of time. Wigan had the likes of Chris Ashton, Bob Bezic, Lee Jewett, Joel Tompkins and Michael McAlorum in their side, and the Hull FC trio that I mentioned before played alongside people like Kirk Dixon, Tommy Lee, Scott Wheeldon, Danny Washbrook, probably the only one of those who went on to have a sustained, I suppose, Hull FC career, although Dixon they all played first team games for Hull, didn't they? But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so the theme's academy. Unsurprisingly, after what we talked about for most of the news. So question
I should
two.
have pulled it up.
Question two. The senior academy competition has had many guises in the Super League era, the most consistent period being between 2013 and 2019, which was a 7-year run of it being a under-19s league, which ended in a grand final. Which, due to COVID, we're now seeing the under-19s again in 2021 before the plan switch to under-18s and reserves takes full effect next year. But on this under-19s version of the competition, Wigan won that competition in 6 of the 7 years it was played between 2013 and 2019. But who was the side who won the other title? And that was in the 2016 season.
I'm going to say Leeds.
No, it was St Helens.
That was my second choice.
They went 22 from 22 that year and beat Wigan 22-20 in extra time to lift the academy title. Danny Richardson being crucial, 5 goals from 5 attempts. Regan Grace, Aaron Smith and Josh Eves remain at the Saints from that side. And actually only Oliver Partington is still at Wigan from a side that included Tom Davies, Ollie Russell, Jack Wells, amongst others who've gone on to feature for other Super League sides. But yeah, Wigan scored more tries. It was just Josh Woods' goal kicking that let them down on the day. Okay, the next one is pretty much a guess the numbers game. So, how many players from the 2019 Wigan versus St Helens Academy Grand Final, the most recent to be played due to COVID, have played in Super League since that game? So that game was played in September 2019. How many of the 34 players on display have played a game in Super League since that day? And I'll allow you 2 either way of the correct answer for a bit of leeway on your guess to get the points.
15.
You sneak in, it's 13. But you're in the margin, so well done, good guess.
Thanks.
For a bit of background, Sarah, because obviously I've written a story as well. Wigan won 22-10. It was their 10th title at senior academy level in whatever various formats it had been played at in the previous 12 seasons, so serious dominance there. From that match, Wigan have 8 who've gone on to play in Super League. Amila Hanley, he's played 5 times in the first team. Sam Halsall, he's had a couple of first team appearances. Harry Smith, he's established now, isn't he? 26 first team games, and he made his debut actually before this game. Ethan Havard, 21 first team games and a regular for Wigan. Again, he made his first team debut before this Academy Grand Final. James McDonnell, he's had 1 first team game. Harry Rushton managed 1 first team game before he went over to Australia to be in the Canberra reserve system there. Joe Shorrocks has had 16 first team games, and Amir Baru 4 first team games for Wigan. Both of those 2 debuted prior to this match. Saints had 5 players who played in the first team in Super League that played in that match. Jack Wellesby, he's had 39 first team games, of course, scoring a winning try in a grand final in Super League since that time. He debuted a whole year before this match, actually, so he was kind of a first team veteran almost by that stage. Nico Roselli, currently out on loan at Swinton, but he had 1 first team game last year. Josh Simmers played 4 times for the first team. He debuted against London in 2019. In fact, Lewis Dodd, 8 first team games and probably seen as the future at St Helens as well. And Matty Foster, 1 first team game for Saints in Super League. Also played a game for Lee in Super League this year. If you remember, in that game, it was against Wigan. He suffered a dislocated jaw and has put him out for a long stretch of this year. So poor luck to Matty Foster, but he was in that Academy Grand Final as well.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a fair number, especially given the fixture congestion we had last year, and having to sort of rotate squads a little bit more.
That's right. All of the players who hadn't debuted before that game made their debuts in the either St Helens versus Salford game or the Wigan versus St Helens game that happened in that congested fixture period last year. So
Yeah.